Yesterday, Sayadaw spoke about how, starting with the rising and the falling, whatever object arises, we should make effort to observe it, and we should aim accurately. When we make effort to observe the object, sati, mindfulness, sticks to the object. And when our aim is accurate, we meet the object head on. We hit it directly. And this is very important, to meet the object head on and to fall collectedly on the object, for the mind to do this. So for the beginning yogi, one has to have this atapa virya, ardent effort, and aiming, accurate aim, which is a jhanic factor. And it's said that tanti in Pali, or laziness, is the nearest enemy for us when we start to practice. It gives the yogi the most trouble. And due to the oppression of this laziness, what happens is one's kusala chitta, one's wholesome mind, is very infrequent, and the akusala chitta, the unwholesome mind, it occurs often, most of the time. So this laziness, tanti, troubles the beginning yogis the most. It's our nearest enemy. It's an internal enemy. And what happens is that while it is happening, we don't know that it is disturbing us. In order to gain the upper hand on tanti, or laziness, one has to make the factors which can overcome it strong. One has to make effort strong, virya. And one also has to make aiming strong, because aiming is directly opposite to laziness. So virya can overcome it, and aiming, accurate aim, both of these two, we have to make these two factors strong. So when we apply energy, we have to apply energy when the object arises, and we can't be sluggish or casual about observing the object. So only when we apply energy, effort, to note the object, will we gain the upper hand on laziness. And the quality of aiming, vitakka, makes the mind fresh. It's the direct opposite of tina mida, or this laziness. So we need to make the mind reach the object, and we need to aim accurately so that we come into contact directly with the object and rub against it. So when this happens, this is what we mean by observing the object, or noting the object. This is what has to happen. So we should have these two factors every second of the time. And when their power is strong, the power of virya and the power of vitakka, then tanti, or laziness, can't overcome us. It can't get into our mind stream. And thus the Buddha said, the yogi should have virya, and this is what is meant by the word atapi. This atapa, ardent energy, is alert and active. So we have to really apply forceful energy to make a forceful effort to observe the object. And we have to aim accurately. So yogis should all examine themselves and ask, do we have this strong effort to observe the object when it arises? And do you have aim? Is the aim accurate? Are you aiming? And this aiming and observing the object is not like just reciting something that we've learned by heart. If we treat it in that way, then we'll never get any samadhi. Now also another thing is that some people think only if we think about something will we know it. Only if we think it out. So if we follow this idea, then we won't be able to develop samadhi or knowledge. Vipassana knowledge is not gained through thinking, it's gained through seeing directly. So when we see the object and then we ask, what is it? Why is it? How is it happening? If we stop to do that type of reflection when an object arises, if this happens a lot in our practice, then that means our work of a yogi is not being done. And in 1 minute we're reflecting about something, then there's 1 minute where effort is being lost, effort to note the object. When there's no effort, there won't be any mindfulness. So mindfulness is also being lost. And when there's no mindfulness, there won't be any samadhi either. So in 5 minutes where these mental factors are being lost, there's 5 minutes that the bhavana mind, the developed mind, is not occurring. We're losing the chance to have it. And in 1 hour, there's 1 hour's worth of loss of the meditative mind, the bhavana mind. So Sayadaw asked the yogis to make this time here worthwhile by following the instructions in a respectful and meticulous way. This is the yogi's job. If we only sit, or if we sit for a long time, the samadhi will be overdeveloped and will get sore and stiff. So the schedule calls for 1 hour of sitting only. And if the yogi can sit for longer than that, well, still, the yogi should really only sit for an hour. And just bear with whatever pains and aches arise in that time. One shouldn't shift. One should try not to shift at all, not to give in to these pains, because if we do, the momentary concentration, khanika samadhi, will be broken. It loses its momentum. So we need to try to establish this momentary samadhi, khanika samadhi. And due to making effort to note every arising object, the mindfulness sticks to the object. And the mindfulness, when it sticks, it falls collectively on the object. So the first thing we have to do is apply the effort to observe the object. We have to push the mind to the object. That will make the mindfulness stick to it. And then our aiming has to be accurate. So when mindfulness is sticking to the object, samadhi is there. Khanika samadhi occurs on that arising object. And we need to collect 1 moment of khanika samadhi after another. So we need to string together as many moments as possible with this samadhi. Individually, 1 moment of momentary concentration is not much, but when they occur in a series without a break, then they become amazingly strong. And Sayadaw used the word energy, and you might also say synergy. The energy builds because they're occurring continuously without any break. At the end of this sitting, we can't just let go of our mindfulness. We've got to note every action that occurs as we change from the sitting posture to going to standing up. So we need to be aware of opening our eyes or moving our hands, being supported by the hands, straightening the legs, shifting the legs, and standing up. And then when we come to a fully upright posture, we have to note that too, standing, standing. Then when we begin to go somewhere, whether it's lifting, moving and placing, we put our mind on that, on the foot as we go, noting lifting and moving and placing, so that we don't miss a single one. Of course, we can't help missing the objects, even though, because we don't yet have skill in doing the practice. But we should be determined to note every single thing, when we walk, to note every single lifting, moving, and placing. Even if we can't do it, we should have that in mind. And we should have in mind to observe even down to the smallest details, like blinking our eyes. Even small movements have to be observed. And making the determination helps us to observe these things. So being determined to note all these movements that happen without a break, even though we can't at the beginning. If we have this attitude and make this type of effort, within a matter of days, our samadhi and paññā, our concentration and wisdom, will definitely arise. In the Satipatthana practice, in the realm of Satipatthana, there's the word Anupasana. Anupasana is made up of two parts. The prefix anu, A-N-U, means repeatedly, one after another after another. And pasana means to observe, to look and to see. So if you put these two together, it means repeated observation, repeatedly observing. And one who does this effectively is called Anupassi, one who has this or possesses this ability of being able to observe repeatedly. And if someone is Anupassi, if such a person, such a yogi, has no breaks, there's no breaks in their observation. One applies the labeling the object and making the observation, looking and seeing. So what makes up this Anupasana, repeated observation? There's effort, virya, sati, mindfulness, samadhi, concentration, and paññā, wisdom. These four things make up Anupasana. In the Mahasatipatthana Sutta, the words are Atapi, Sampajanno, Satima. Atapi refers to the three stages of ardent effort that we need. The initial effort to start our practice, the effort to overcome laziness and the other kilesas, the second stage of effort, and then the third stage of effort, which is already at a very good level and then goes further to reach the goal. Only if we have these three stages of effort is one a true yogi. So beginning with the rising, the falling, and every object that arises, if we apply effort to observe the object, then in one time of being able to observe the object, there'll be one moment of possessing this ability to observe Anupasana. And in 1 minute there will be 60 seconds of Anupasana, 6 moments of possessing this type of observation. Even if we only note every other second, it's still 30 times in a minute. And this type of ardent energy to observe the object is very important. This ardent energy is occurring repeatedly. So this is the beginning of Anupasana. Due to the effort to note the object, the mindfulness sticks, sati sticks. So every application of virya, there's mindfulness. And in one moment of virya effort, there will be one moment of sati. In 2 moments of virya, 2 moments of sati. When the aim is accurate, then the sati will stick to the object. So we must do this without a break in order to we must have mindfulness without a break. And if we do this again and again, this momentary concentration, khanika samadhi, will occur naturally due to the application of effort and the mindfulness sticking to the object. So gradually, with this khanika samadhi, we come to know. When we observe the rising and the mind falls collectively on that object, we come to know the qualities such as stiffness or tension that can be found there. When we observe the falling and the mind falls collectively on that, we observe either trembling or movement, the qualities that are really there. And other objects, when we observe them, we know their true qualities, their true natures. This is called Sampajanna. And this is today's topic, together with virya, sati, samadhi, and panya. So these 4 things, virya, sati, samadhi, and panya, make up Anupasana. And only if we have these 4 will this Anupasana, repeated observation, occur. The yogi's responsibility is to create these 4 factors in one's mind. So we take care. We have great concern to observe. As soon as the object arises, we apply energy or effort to note it. Only if there is effort, virya, or mental energy, will mindfulness arise, sati. And only if mindfulness arises, will samadhi arise. And samadhi gives rise to wisdom, panya. So when that happens, we are observing objects which are truly there. We're observing what is really there. So when we observe rising and falling, at the moment they occur with effort, aiming, and so on, we know the qualities that occur, the distinct qualities that occur in that. And the nearest cause for this knowledge to arise is the mind falling collectively on the object, on the movement, stiffness, tension, and so on, that we call rising or falling. So for that to happen, every time the abdomen rises, the sati has to stick firmly to the object. Every time the falling occurs, sati has to stick firmly. This mind falling, the sati sticking firmly to the object is the nearest cause for khanika samadhi, momentary concentration, to arise. And it's ardent effort to observe the object, to make the mind reach the object when it arises, that causes sati to stick. So we need 3 things. We need to have virya, which pushes the mind to the object, and this causes sati to stick to the object. When sati sticks to the object, the mind falls collectively on the elements such as vayodhatu. So when the mind falls collectively on vayodhatu, the air element, we know its qualities such as stiffness or tension or movement. And one who knows this is called Sampajanna in the text. It's also called Sampajanna. And this is a word that's made up of three parts, two prefixes, the prefix san and pa, and then jano. So san means correctly. So if we just leave aside the pa for the moment and think about samjano. Sam means correctly, and jano means to one who knows. So knowing correctly, sanjano. San also means knowing fully. To the extent that the sati sticks to the object, one knows fully. So this is also knowing fully is what is meant by sanjano. And this type of knowing is not something that we get from reading a book, or from hearing about it, or from reflecting on what we've read. It comes through one's own practice. So one knows correctly and distinctly, and it also, san also means, as I just said, it comes through our practice, and this is what this word san means. We know for ourselves. So sanjano also means knowing for oneself, knowing correctly, knowing distinctly, and knowing for oneself. So one is able to distinguish different types of materiality when one has clear seeing like this. When we observe the rising, there are three levels on which we can observe. We may see the abdomen itself, which is form or santana panyati, the concept of form. We may see that it's rising, its position of being in an expanded position. This is called akara panyati, and it's also a concept. But knowing clearly this with sampajano means that one is able to see the true nature distinctly, free of these concepts. So that's the level on which we're able to see. So pa refers to this ability to separate out the true nature. Pajano means knowing distinctly. And one also comes to know that it's not just one big rising, but it's many different risings occurring one after another. Just like if we see from far away a group of insects or a line of insects, especially ants, moving. When we see them from far away, we don't know what it is. But when we are able to approach closely, at the closest level, we're able to see that there's individual ants that each are moving in their own way. And this is like what we come to see when we see distinctly. So this sampajano means knowing correctly. It has different meanings. Sampajano can mean knowing correctly, distinctly, or knowing fully and distinctly, and also knowing for oneself distinctly. So the way the Buddha used words is very exact, and when we analyze a word such as sampajano and look at its elements, it's really quite beautiful. And as we come to know truly, we see that the stiffness, when the abdomen rises, we note the rising and we see stiffness. The stiffness is one thing and knowing it is another. So we come to discern the difference between the object and knowing it. We see these two things distinctly. Who is it that comes to know in this way? One who applies art and effort without missing, with the mind falling collectively on the object time and time and time again. So, if we undertake the meditation practice, and understand the benefits of satipatthana, but we don't believe them. If we don't understand them at all, or if we understand them but don't trust in them, don't believe in them, or if we believe in them but we treat it lightly, we treat their work of meditation lightly, then in either of those cases, those three cases, we won't exert virya consistently. So our energy won't become full, and we'll lose this quality of ardent energy, atapa. And losing that, laziness will come in. Without ardent energy, mindfulness is lost, sati is lost, and the defilements enter our mind stream. The mind is no longer collected on the object, and thus we think about sense pleasures, whatever good things we want to have, those come into our mind. So instead of realizing by oneself fully, distinctly, knowing in a special way, all this is lost when one is superficial about the practice. And if we spend 1 minute being superficial, that's 1 minute in which these qualities are lost. In 5 minutes, there's 5 minutes of losing this virya, sati, and samadhi. And because of not having developed these qualities, we don't experience something special in our practice, and we get bored. On the other hand, those who cherish the benefits that can be gained from the practice and have the mindset, the determination that even down to the smallest thing, I'm going to try and note it. Such a person applies strong effort to observe the object, and mindfulness arises. Due to the mindfulness, samadhi arises, and due to samadhi, concentration arising, one sees correctly, clearly for oneself. One knows in a special way, distinctly. Sampajanna occurs. So instead of using the words such as panya, meaning wisdom, the Buddha used sampajanna and sampajanno to mean, this means that this word has a special meaning that we should pay attention to. So Sayadaw is going to continue discussing this topic tomorrow night. That's all for today.